ومن أظلم ممن ذكر بربه ثم أعرض عنه إنا من المجرمين منتقمون ولقد آتينا موسى الكتاب فلا تكن في مرية من لقائه وجعلناه هدى لبني إسرائيل وجعلنا منهم أئمة يهدون بأمرنا لما صبروا وكانوا بآياتنا يوقنون إن ربك هو يفصل بينهم يوم القيامة فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون أولم يهد لهم كم أهلكنا من قبلهم من القرون يمشون في مساكنهم إن في ذلك لآيات أفلا يسمعون أولم يروا أنا نسوق الماء إلى الأرض الجرز فنخرج به زرعا تأكل منه ونامهم وأنفسهم أفلا يبصرون ويقولون متى هذا الفتح إن كنتم صادقين قل يوم الفتح لا ينفع الذين كفروا إيمانهم ولا هم ينظرون فأعرض عنهم وانتظر إنهم منتظرون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Today we will remember Hazrat Qasim, so we have a speech from Zain Sayyid, and then inshallah we will start with the Salam and Mercy.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Hazrat Qasim was the son of Imam Hassan, the grandson of Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima. Like his cousins, On and Muhammad, who was his aunt Zainab's son, learned fencing from his uncle Abbas and his cousin Ali Akbar. On the day of Ashura, Qasim was eager to fight for his uncle whom he loved dearly. So he went to his uncle and asked for permission. Hussein would not permit him because he was so young and could not bear the thought of anything happening to him. So he did not allow him. This went on for many times until Qasim gave up and went to the tent of his mother was in. His mother was very upset to see her son like this, so she gave him a letter that Imam Hassan had written when my brother Hussein will be fit for his son before he died. In the letter it was written, "My son Qasim, a day will come when my brother Hussein will be facing an enemy army of tens of thousands. That day will be the day that Islam will need to be saved by a sacrifice. You must represent me on that day." Al-Qasim read the letter and rushed to his uncle and gave him the letter. After reading the letter, Hussein said, "Oh, my brother's son, how can I stop you from doing what my father wanted you to do? In the name of Allah, go. Allah be with you." When he got up on the horse, he looked like a shining moon. When he went to the battlefield, he fought with all of his strength and killed a lot of the enemies. But he was only a boy and was thirsty for 3 days due to the blockage of the river by Yazid's army. A man came from behind and hit Qasim with his sword, and to which he fell, cried out loud, "Oh dear uncle, please, peace be upon you." Hussein rode out upon hearing this. When he came to where Qasim had fallen, he saw the Qasim's body trampled into pieces by horses of soldiers. When the time came for Imam Hussein to take his new nephew's body back to the tents, he took off his abba, spread it on the ground, and picked up the pieces of the body up as one would collect flowers from a garden. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Rabbal Hussein, Haqqal Hussein, اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة يا رب الحجة بحق الحجة اشف صدر الحجة بظهور الحجة. جمله موجودات را دیدم که در فخرند با هم، هر یکی می گفت در فضل و شرف من بی قرینم. خاک گفتا من حسین ابن علی را گرد راهم، آب گفتا مهر زهرا بام نور خام سینم. باد گفتا من غلام و جان نثار کوی اویم. نار گفتا دشمنش را، نار گفتا دشمنش سوزم به قهر آتشینم. مهر گفتا گرد راه مرکبش را چهره سایم. ماه گفتا توسنش را بوسه زن بر صدر زینم. گفت جبرائیل هستم بنده دربار آن شه. خواند میکائیل مدحش، گفت عبدش را معینم. سفت اسرافیل در از لب که او را جان نثارم. گفت عزراییل با خصمش گه مردن بکینم. جملگی گفتند ای انسان تو در عشقش چه کردی؟ گفت من صاحب وصال عشق آن عشق آفرینم. روز عاشورا به موجودات بانگ اخرجوا زد. جز به من که از مرتبت در کاخ اجلالش مکینم. دست دادم چشم دادم فرق دادم جسم دادم تا فدا گردی جان در راه آن عشق آفرینم. آن یکی بوسید دستش این دگر بوسید پایش. وان یکی گفتا که برگو کیستی ای نازنینم. گفت من ماه بنی هاشم سرور قلب زهرا شمل حیدر زاده آزاده ام البنینم. معنی درس وفایم فانی راه بقایم. جرعه نوش چشمه علم امیر المؤمنینم. خوانده یزدانم ز لطف و مرحمت باب الحوائج. دستگیر کل خلق از اولین و آخرینم. روز مردی گر بیارم خم به ابروی کمانم. آیه نصر من الله نقش بندد بر جبینم. ای عزاداران ای عزاداران بشارت باد زهرا روز محشر آورد بهر شفاعت دستهای نازنینم. تشنه لب در آب رفتم این سخن با خویش گفتم من چگونه آب نوشم شاه را عطشان ببینم مشک را پر کردم از آب و به خود گفتم که باید راه نزدیکی برای خیمه رفتم برگزینم راه نخلستان گرفتم راه نخلستان گرفتم لیک از شمشیر دشمن قطع شد دست علمگیر از یسار و از یمینم حسین حسین فکر کردم دست دادم آب دارم غم ندارم فکر کردم دست دادم آب دارم غم ندارم سرفرازم ساقی اطفال شاهنشاه دینم ناگهان دیدم که در ره ریخت آب و سوخت جانم ناگهان دیدم که در ره ریخت آب و سوخت جانم تیر زد بر مشک آن خصمی که بودن در کمینم دیگر از دیدار اطفال حرم شرمنده بودم دیگر از دیدار اطفال حرم شرمنده بودم تیر زن دشمن به چشمم تا که طفلان را نبینم گفتم اکنون خوب شد خوب است برگردم به خیمه گفتم اکنون خوب شد خوب است برگردم به خیمه ناگهان بر سر فرود آورد عمود آهنینم حسین حسین فسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون بنبي
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
برای دیگر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قبر اصغر کی بنانے بہت دیر لگی قبر اصغر کی بنانے بہت دیر لگی شاہ کو ایک چاند چھپانے میں بہت دیر لگی قبر اصغر کی بنانے بہت دیر لگی कुछ कदम दूर है बाजार से दरबार मगर कुछ कदम दूर है बाजार से दरबार मगर फिर भी शहजादी को आने में बहुत देर लगी। आए कब्र असगर की बनाने बहुत देर लगी। शाह ने हर लाश को जल्दी से उठाया लेकिन शाह ने हर लाश को जल्दी से उठाया लेकिन लाश अकबर की उठाने में बहुत देर लगी। कभी बना बहुत टुकड़े चुनते हुए का कहा ने टुकड़े चुनते हुए कासिम के कहा मौला ने हाय अफसोस के आने में बहुत देर लगी। कब्र असगर की इस कदर प्यास से सूखा था गुलुए सरवर। इस कदर प्यास से सूखा था गुलुए शिम्र को तेग चलाने में बहुत देर लगी। कब्र असगर की करबला जाके तकल्लुम ने यही पूछा था। करबला जाके तकल्लुम ने यही पूछा था। मुझको सरकार बुलाने में बहुत देर लगी। कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। शह को एक चांद छुपाने में बहुत देर लगी। कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। सलाम। बराए खुशनूदी इमाम ज़माना बुलंदतर सलावत। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। बारे दीगर सलावत। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
मलाकुल मौत बड़े करीब से लाया सेहरा मौत ने इब्ने हसन का जो सजाया सेहरा मलाकुल मौत बड़े करीब से लाया सेहरा मोती अश्कों के पिरोए गुले फरिया दो फुगा मोती अश्कों के पिरोए गुले फरिया दो फुगा खून की धारों की लड़ियों का बनाया सेहरा टूट कर सहर की लड़ियां सरे मक्तल बिखरी टूट कर सहर की लड़ियां सरे मक्तल बिखरी खाक करबल ने कलेजे से लगाया सेहरा चुनती रहती थी सदा फर्श से बिखरी कलियां चुनती रहती थी सदा फर्श से बिखरी कलियां माँ की नजरों में कुछ इस तरह समाया सेहरा बाग़ जन्नत हुआ तब्दील अज़ा खाने में जब फरिश्तों ने सरे अर्श सुनाया सेहरा दूल्हा दूल्हा की सदा आज भी आती है अनीस दूल्हा दूल्हा की सदा आज भी आती है अनीस कैसा आलम के फजाओं में समाया सेहरा मलाकुल मौत बड़े कैब से लाया सेहरा मौत ने इब्ने हसन का जो सजाया सेहरा सलवा
Today is 6th of Moharram. We will inshallah start our program with Maulana's speech. We will continue with the lesson 31 of Najul Balagha. Maulana has shed light on that lesson which Imam Ali alayhi salam wrote for his son, Hazrat Imam Hassan Mujtaba, and we have very important lessons for our life, including jihad and hijab, as well as taqwa, which he mentioned yesterday. So inshallah we will continue with that lessons today. In the loudest of your 3 salawat, I ask Maulana to come to member.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين بسم من جعل الله تعالى العزيز الشريف ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So tonight the one issue relating to ahkam. We know, of course, in acts of worship, there are different forms of acts of worship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would like us to perform. Some acts of worship that we have are to happen at a personal level, on an individual level. Prayer, fasting, and the likes. Sometimes these acts of worship find social forms and congregational forms. For example, in prayer we have an individual form and we also have a congregational form. Within these congregational forms of prayer or forms of worship, sometimes there are rules that are additional to them that are trying to confine or are trying to help achieve the objectives that exist within these congregational acts of worship. For example, in Salatul Jama'ah or congregational prayers, they say it is makruh, that means it is recommended for this not to be done When a person is following an imam. Okay, so in congregational prayers, there's a leader and there are followers. When a person is following a leader and an imam in prayer, it is makruh for that person to speak or to recite the parts of the prayer that are necessary for him to recite or her to recite in a fashion that the imam can hear them reciting. So, this is not to say that a person should not recite or should recite so calmly that they don't know what they're saying. No. But this is trying to prove this point, and it's trying to remind of this point, that when a person is in an active congregation, that they have to try and keep that form of leadership and following as clear as they can. And we have many ahkam and laws that try to present this. This is perhaps one thing that sometimes we feel it should be reminded, not so much in this community, but other communities we've seen, that when people are following, sometimes their takbirat, sometimes their dhikr, sometimes are so loud that not only can the imam hear, but everyone else in the jama'ah can hear as well. For example, sometimes when people come late, they want to do takbiratul ihram. The imam and the ma'mumeen are also performing their prayer. They come salat, Allahu Akbar. Everyone has to hear them. Okay, you're joining the congregation, alhamdulillah, we're happy you are. But you don't need to make a public announcement every time you want to come, or every time you want to make the alhamdulillah. Even in certain mustahab dhikr, for example, after Surah Al-Fatiha, we know that it's mustahab to say alhamdulillah rabbil alameen versus ameen that our brothers of Ahl Sunnah say. It's recommended, but you don't have to say it in a way to announce it to everyone in the whole masjid. Alhamdulillah. No, just silently you say it's sufficient. Allah will hear you and it's accepted. Yes, there are certain things we're meant to do in worship together loudly, that's different. But generally they say the rule is when a person is engaging in congregational prayer, their dhikr, their recitation should be in a way that the imam does not hear, and try to reduce that as much as they can. Sometimes we're so close, there's nothing you can do about it. But as much as you can, we should try to be conscious, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this of the true worshippers, our worship, to be pleasing to Him, inshallah, with the salawat ala Muhammad wa We were discussing the 31st letter of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam to his son Imam al-Mujtaba. We were in the third section now where the Imam begins his advices to his son Imam al-Mujtaba. We don't have the slides up, correct? Okay. So inshallah I'll try to present the text that is meant to be presented, and then I'll explain the points that inshallah we'd like to make. If you remember last night we began this third section that the Holy Imam started like this. That I advise you to be God conscious or have taqwa that we spoke about last night, O my son, and to abide by the commands of God. وَعِمَارَةِ قَلْبِكَ بِذِكْرِكَ To fill your heart with remembrance of Allah, or to create and build your heart with the remembrance of God. وَالْإِعْتِصَامِ بِحَبْلِهِ And for you to cling and hold firm to the rope of God. وَأَيُّ سَبَبٍ أَوْثَقُ مِنْ سَبَبٍ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ إِنْ أَنْتَ And what connection and what hold is firmer than the connection and the hold that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with this condition that you actually hold firmly to it and you take hold of it. We spoke about taqwa last night, and we spoke about the importance these two have a direct relationship with one another. We said taqwa is not an independent idea. We're connected to help us understand one united system, that how this world operates and how we're meant to operate in this world. All of Islamic teaching, all of Islamic ma'arif, all of these are to help us excel our understandings of who we are and who He is, and to understand the position of myself and understand His position. This is the key of life. This is the key of existence. To understand your place in life, to understand your position in life, that He is the great and I am the nothing. He is the everything and I am the nothing. This is what our journey of life is, to come to this understanding, and for us to live and become this understanding. And these understandings and these levels of ma'arif and connection with God manifest in people. And the reason why we were meant to follow individuals, the reason why we revere individuals like the Ahlul Bayt, is because these are individuals have been able to realize these potentials within them, and they teach us the true relationship that man and servant is meant to have with his Lord. You'll find on the day of Ashura, when the Holy Imam, the times got tougher, the Imam's connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became greater. The words that the Imam would speak, as the events got harder and harder to bear, they showed more and more his submission to his Lord. And it gave him peace and understanding to be in a state that he knew he was in the presence of God and he was in a position of serving God. This is the hope that you and I have, that by coming here we can enliven this potential within ourselves, that we can also be in positions in our life that we can also be in the presence of God and be able to serve Him the way that He's meant to be served. For us to be able to submit to Him the way He's meant to be submitted to. So we spoke about taqwa, for a person to be conscious of God, for a person to protect the sanctity of what it means to be a servant of God. That's the most important quality that we have. As being creations of God, we are God's servants. We are God's servants. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. This worship, this submission has many forms. It's to understand God, and through understanding God, we understand that we must serve Him. So taqwa is to protect that. وَلُزُومِ أَمْرِ. For a person to abide by God's commands. By doing so, those, like we said, the building blocks that allows you to protect this at the highest level of protection. The more a person is able to engage in practicing Islamic law, the stronger they'll become, and they'll allow themselves to protect those things which are precious and those things which are dear to God. What is dear to God is there to be justice on this earth. What is dear to God is for there to be respect on this earth. What is dear to God is there to be equality on this earth. You and I can engage in establishing these things only when we've been able to build ourselves to a level that we're able to protect them. This protection comes when a person has the tools for protection. And hence, a small number of people had developed themselves at the time of the Holy Imam that they were able to answer the call of the Imam. Not because they were the only ones that knew about it. Only they had the potentials to be able to answer that call. So when we say every day is Arbara, this is not just some slogan that we have. This doesn't mean that there was one day and I wish it was that day. No. Every day is Ashura. So is that real or is that not a real statement? Is this like we say ta'aruf or takalluf that we have with the Imam? Every day is like that because no. This is a real statement. This is a real, that every day is Ashura. Okay. Every day is Ashura happening whether you and I know about it or not. Ashura is happening whether you and I are a part of it or not. The question here is not to know whether there is Ashura every day, whether there's Karbala everywhere. That's there. This is a reality. This is a truth. The more important matter is whether you and I are engaging in this Karbala and how we are engaging in this. Are we of the people who are actively fighting against the Imam? 1. Are we the people who are supporting the people who are fighting the Imam? 2. Are we of the last people that hear about an injustice occurring and the Imam being fought and we're silent about it? All of these 3 groups are people who we in Ziyarat Ashura recite and we curse them. وَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً سَمِعَتْ بِذَلِكَ فَرَضِيَتْ بِهِ. May God curse the people who heard about what was happening, were silent, were okay with it. I'm afraid of this because I know this is happening right now. And I'm okay with it happening. فَرَضِيَتْ بِهِ. So maybe this, if I was to only be in my position, then perhaps I am worthy of cursing. I am worthy of being cursed. Why? Because I'm hearing injustices happening and I'm okay with it. I'm indifferent toward it. I'm apathetic towards it. Why? Not because I'm a monster. Innately I'm not. I've become a monster. Why? Because I haven't been able to protect the sanctity and the purity that God has put within me. Why? Because وَلُزُومِ أَمْرِ, I haven't been able to practice and build myself in engaging in Islamic law. I thought in my ignorance that I can also live my life a different way and then also be in a position that I can serve my Imam as well. These two cannot join. The Imam, Allah has defined for us, these are the steps that I need you to take and I will develop you. I am the one that will guide you. I am the one that will raise you. We are the fathers of you. We will train you. But this is the way to do it. And that's why they've spent so much time, so much energy, so much effort, so much sacrifice to protect what? To protect these things that we take for granted. How many hadith do we have about prayer? How many hadith do we have about khums? How many hadith do we have about hajj? Who cares? Who cares? Just pray. But you'll find that these imams were adamant and sacrificed in the most difficult of circumstances that they lived. In secrecy, they were teaching these things. Why? Because these are important. وَعِمَارَةِ قَلْبِكَ بِذِكْرِكَ. And build your heart. And build your heart through the remembrance of God. Fill your heart with the remembrance of God. بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. What is the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There's one application of dhikr that someone like me only knows, is this. This is dhikr Allah. Right? This is not bad. This is very good. But this can have multiple meanings and multiple levels. Sometimes it's just this. It's me playing with my hand and playing with my tongue. It's something that keeps me busy. Just like I play with my beard or play with my hair or whatever, can be the same way. But what happens sometimes, this becomes a hijab. This becomes hijab for me. Why? Because I think by doing this, that I'm reaching great levels of spirituality. When I do this, and someone tells me that a brother needs help, can you help him? And you say no. This means that this has no value. When I do this, and I say there's an injustice being committed right now, let us go take a stand. Let us march the streets right now to educate the people and say, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to the park today with my family. That means that this doesn't mean anything. Dhikrullah is not just taking tasbih and just taking dhikr bead and doing dhikr. No. This is not dhikrullah. This is dhikru nafsi. This is me remembering how great I am. Again, not to say tasbih is bad. No. This is meant to play a different role and serve another purpose. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. In Surah Ra'd, verse 28. Those who have faith and whose hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. Indeed, only the hearts find rest through the remembrance of God. So the only way a heart is going to find rest, peace, and tranquility, it's going to be in a natural state of being, is through God's remembrance. Why? This is a question that the world asks. Why? You're saying that this is the only way. The only way for salvation. The only way for salvation is through Islam. The only way through salvation is through the Holy Imam. Inna al-Husayn misbahul huda wa safinatun najah. Right? When the flood came, and the people of Nuh alayhi salam, those who accepted were saved. The rest were drowned, right? When we say Inna al-Husayn misbahul huda wa safinatun najah, the guiding light, and he's the saving ship. So that means if a flood will come, everyone else will be drowned. Only through embarking and boarding on the ship of Hussein alayhi salatu salam can a person be saved. We believe in this. But tell this to another person. Says, that means I'm going to hell? No, that's not what this means. But that means that to protect yourself and to allow yourself to be in a state of peace, tranquility, and balance, a person needs to remind himself of God. فَأْقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا لَا تَبْدِيلَ لِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So set your heart, your face as a person of pure faith on this religion, the original nature or the fitrah of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has originated mankind from that. There is no change in God's creation. This is the true and upright religion, but most people don't know. Through the remembrance of God, a person is able to protect the nature of himself, the fitrah of himself, the natural state of being of himself. Being surrounded in a world that are full of artificial entities, like we've spoken about many nights now. We live in a world that we are surrounded by artificial entities. And when we engage in these artificial entities and we allow these artificial entities to become a part of who we are, then we are creating imbalances within ourselves. And when we create imbalances within ourselves, then the soul, the body, cannot naturally act on things that God expects us to do. Every person naturally has the potential, an opportunity to be able to serve the cause of God, to be able to serve in the ranks of the Imam, to be able to serve in the ranks of the Imam of the time. Every person has that potential. But why is it that most people don't? وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Most people don't know this. Why? Because they aren't protective over that nature, that fitrah. Religion helps us protect the fitras that we have, the natures that we have, the purity that we have. And hence through the remembrance of God, the remembrance of ourselves is how we're able to keep ourselves safe and come to peace. No peace can be acquired. No true happiness can be acquired in life until a person has connected with his true self. No other artificial entity will be able to satisfy man, will be able to help us be happy unless it's what is natural to us, and that's the remembrance of God. And that's the remembrance of our purpose in life. No amount of money will be able to do that. No amount of power will be able to do that. No amount of respect will be able to do that. No amount of influence will be able to do that. None of these things. You can have all the money in the world, you won't be happy. You can have all the power in the world, you won't be happy. You can have all the influence in the world, you won't be happy. People can bow before you and kiss your hands and feet, you won't be happy. That's not natural to you. So, in keeping firm into our religious obligation, and keeping firm to the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, this is important for us. Why? Because it allows us to keep our nature safe. When we have to have God to establish religion, that should be a sign to us away from what is natural to us. Arafah from the Holy Imam. This is a very, very, very delicate dua that we have, and it's full of teaching. It's full of teaching. Dua, I'll say this as a side note, read and don't understand. Dua is not some magical way for you to receive whatever request that you have. No, that's how you abuse it. Dua is one channel in which the Ahlul Bayt very great teachings. In Dua Arafah, a few that should help us understand what it means to be balanced and be in the presence of God and be in the remembrance of God. متى غبت حتى تحتاج إلى دليل يدل عليك. Oh God, when have you ever been absent that now I need something to prove that you exist? ومتى بعدت ومتى بعدت حتى تكون الآخر. And when have you ever been so far that now I need something, I need traces for them to lead me to you? You know what I'm saying? You're always in my presence. You originally were the fitrah. I was in your presence. I was serving your cause. I was serving you. But what happened? I became far from you. And I began to serve other idols. I began to serve other people. I began to serve myself. Allah says mu'mineen are like this. Always they're in a state of remembrance. Not with this dhikr. That everything that they do is with purpose. Every action that you have is with purpose to achieve and reach that higher goal. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. These are the servants of God, the believers of God, the righteous people. They remember God in all states, standing, sitting, and lying. So, we spoke about this last night. What is my purpose in life? If my purpose in life is to replicate what the companions of the Imam replicated in their lives, if my goal is to prepare myself to serve in the ranks of my Imam, not in a time that's going to come. Get this idea out of our minds, that the Imam is somewhere waiting, and when some time comes, then it'll be time to serve his cause. No, this is wrong. This is wrong. Imam is not waiting for some special trumpet that when that comes, then he's going to call all of us and all of us are going to go and serve him. No, that's not true. Imam is waiting right now. Imam is waiting right now. Imam is calling right now. And someone like me fools myself to say, this is an event in the future. I can procrastinate now, because Imam hasn't come yet. Allah hasten his reappearance. When he comes, then I'll go and join him. But it's really the opposite of that. So to remember our purpose every moment of our life. If my purpose is to serve my Imam every moment of my life, then everything I do I should be critical about it. How have I spent my day today? Has my day today had one element of it that I can say, this has helped me grow and develop, that I can take one step closer to now becoming united with my Imam? If you can say yes, then good. That's the remembrance of God. If you can say no, then that means there's no remembrance of God here. Remembrance of God is not to just sit here and do dua of people. Oh Allah, remove the oppressions of people in the world. You know what I mean? No. That's one tool among many tools. That's one method among many methods. The power of dua is powerful, but so is the power of action. So in every state, the mu'mineen, every state, the believers are people who are constantly conscious of what is important to them, are conscious of what their goals are in life. What is dhikr then? I'll share one hadith inshallah to help us understand one element and one aspect of dhikr from the Ma'asumeen alayhi salatu wasalam. Risala salawat ala Muhammad. This narration is found in Al-Khisal of Shaykh As-Saduq. We spoke about Shaykh As-Saduq the first night of our discussion. Shaykh As-Saduq, Al-Khisal, volume 1, page 131. ثلاث من أشد ما عمل العباد. There are three things that are the most difficult things for the servants of God to perform. This is the third one of them. وَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ عَلَى كُلِّ حَالٍ. Of the most difficult things that a servant and a slave has to do is to remember and be in remembrance of God in every state. وَهُوَ أَنْ يَذْكُرَ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ عِنْدَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ يَهُمُّ بِهَا فَيَحُولُ ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تِلْكَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ. It says remembrance of God is like this, in every position like this. When you find yourself in a position that you have the potential to engage in sin, you have the option, we have free will, we can do what we like, and we find ourselves in positions that sometimes we are tempted to engage in something that is not pleasing to God. Someone like me does, you all don't. And when I find myself in that position, I can have one of two reactions. Either I'm remembering of God or I'm forgetful of God. When I'm forgetful of God, I engage in that sin. And then if I have that nafsul lawam, the self-critical soul, then it reminds me, it says, you're in the presence of God. This was disrespectful. You have to repent and ask for forgiveness. But the person who is remembering of God, right there, his remembrance stops him. It acts as a barrier between him and that sin and that action. That's what dhikrullah is. وهو قول الله عز وجل إن الذين اتقوا إذا مسهم طائف من الشيطان تذكروا فإذا هم مبصرون. This is the meaning of the verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-A'raf verse 201. When those who are God conscious and have taqwa are touched by a visitation of shaitan and sin, they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and behold, they perceive. They're able to abstain from engaging in that sin. That's what dhikrullah means. وَعِمَارَةَ قَلْبِكَ بِذِكْرِكَ. To build yourself with the remembrance of God. Don't allow what you work so hard for, don't allow your purity to be destroyed by things that are impure and things that are artificial. وَالْإِعْتِصَامَ بِحَبْلِهِ. The next advice that he gives. And hold firm to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'tisam means a very, very firm grip on something. Habl means a rope. وَالْإِعْتِصَامَ بِحَبْلِهِ. Hold very firmly on God's rope. Why do we need to hold firmly on something? There can be two instances where we want to hold firmly on something. Sometimes we have fear of something. We are afraid that we're going to get hurt. We're going to be humiliated. We're going to be degraded. And we hold on to something so we don't get hurt. When we get sick and we don't know how to treat ourselves, we go to the doctor and we hold firmly to his expertise. Why? Because we're afraid that something bad will happen to us. Hence we trust him. Hence we trust her. When we're driving from our houses to the Majalis and we sit in our cars, we fasten our seatbelts, not only because it's the law, but also because we want to protect ourselves. That if God forbid something happened, I can have some form of protection. You've held firm the safety of this seatbelt. Sometimes we need to hold firm to things because we're afraid we'll fall into mistakes. Like we said, life is very, very tricky. If a person holds firm to something, that will ensure that they don't fall and slip. And hence, the Holy Imam says, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Holy Quran says, hold firmly to the rope of God. Because holding firmly to that will protect you. That's one way of holding firmly to a rope, or one reason. Another way is when a person wants to elevate himself. That something is going up and you're down, you want to hold on to this so they can take you up as well. Imagine when a helicopter comes and is trying to rescue someone, you hold firm to that ladder, that rope, and it takes you up. Sometimes we want to get higher as well. So through holding firm to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it isn't always because we are lowly and we're afraid that we'll fall into mistakes, so we hold firm. That's one aspect, and that's one level of it. But the next level, a progressive level, an excellent level, is how we want to excel ourselves. And we want to become better than who we were yesterday. Not just being concerned about, let me make sure that I'm not worse today than I was yesterday. No. We shouldn't always have this sort of an approach. So long as I'm not worse, then that's a success. No, it's not. For today to be better than yesterday is a success. And hence it's also important to hold firm to the rope of Allah to allow ourselves to excel. Within our lives we have to have these sort of reflections. Has my year been better than my last? Has from this Muharram to last Muharram, have I seen an improvement or have I not? Have I been stagnant, or have I moved? As a community, have we excelled in the last year? Have we excelled in the last 5 years? Have we excelled in the last 10 years? Have our remembrances of the Holy Imam excelled, or are they stagnant? Am I happy with doing things the way I've always done them? Is that enough for me? For me to do the things that I've always done. If that has had the result of you excelling and progressing, then yes, keep doing it. But if what we've done thus far has not shown progress, that should be a sign that we should begin to look for changes. If coming to these majalis and doing what we do doesn't institute change within us, we need to institute change in our programs. Many young people don't have the courage to make statements like these. First of all, because they're not here. Second of all, because there's great resistance when it comes to change. And not change for the worse. We're talking about change for the better. Our gatherings here, our masjids here, our community centers here are meant to have the objectives of allowing us to preserve our religion and the religion of our children. These majalis, we want to familiarize our children and the community and the society with those things that are sacred to us, because we believe these are the keys to success. These are the keys to success in society, in the world. Hussein ﷺ is a leader, is a role model for all people, like we said, not for you and I only. So when we assess what our progress have been, how much progress have we made? Where are our children right now? The ones that we forced to come here are running wild downstairs, right? Or most of them. Let's not speak in absolutes. Most of them. Many of them don't come at all. Why is that? Has the message of Hussein died? No. Has the personality and attractiveness of Imam Hussein died? No. But has our presentation of that become subpar? Maybe. I'm not saying it has. I'm saying maybe. This is at least something that we need to think about. This is at least something that we need to question. It isn't disrespectful to the Majalis for a person to sit and have some sort of a reflection and a critique of how effective it's been. If you and I are coming here, it's difficult for us to even be here. It's okay. We're not saying that let's not have Majlis anymore. No, no one's saying that. We're saying, how can I make this a better Majlis that you and I, everyone can benefit from it? But especially our children. If we have already learned the message of Hussein, okay? You and I already know of the greatness of Hussein. You and I don't need to be sold on the fact that Hussein is meant to call the shots in our lives. We know that, because we've been coming to Majlis for a lifetime. Do we not? Is there still doubt in our mind? Is there still uncertainty in our mind? If there is, then we sit down and we speak about how great the Imam is, how important the Imam is, and what role the Imam is meant to play in our lives. If that's the case, yes, we should be doing this. But if this is understood, what's the next step then? What's the next step? To just sit here and cry, oh, what a tragedy, what a tragedy. Kullu yawmin ashura. What a tragedy. So you and I will have to sit here and mourn not only the Imam, but every person, every day that is being slaughtered and killed in the same fashion. You and I will have to sit here and just cry for them. You and I will have to sit here and just weep for them. But if we've already established at one point that this is something that needs to be done, and we can do it, so the next level is to turn that into action. Not to just come here and discuss the same old narrative. You talk to the youth, they're tired of it. How many times do they have to hear the same thing? How many times do they have to hear the same old story? Not for us not to remind ourselves of the story of the Imam Hussein. Not to not remind ourselves of the sacrifices we should. But that should be a reason and a motive for us to institute change. Our children want to do something. They don't want to just sit and listen and receive. They want to receive and act. And if we're too occupied and we're too busy, that's fine. Not everyone can serve at the same level. But our children have potential to live the message of Hussein, live the legacy of Hussein in this country and in the world. That should be our prime focus when we come here. That should be our prime focus in creation of these majalis. It's difficult. We find ourselves in a very challenging situation. I understand that. We come from different cultures. We come from different backgrounds. We're of different ages. That's okay. We should be as accommodating as we can. But let's not lose sight of what's important. Let us not lose focus of what's important. We need to help our children understand what it means to hold firm to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because in this world, in this society, in this culture, those things that are being promoted to them, that they are holding firm to, are things that are weak. In Ayatul Kursi that we recite every day, the verse that follows, لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله. يكفر بالطاغوت, who's طاغوت? ويؤمن بالله, who is Allah. فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى. When a person has done that, then they're holding on to something that's firm, that you can grip truly. لا انفصام لها. It's not going to break. It'll never rip, it'll never break. But what happens? In this society, what are the things that we hold on to? We hold on to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran talks about, the house of the spider. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتها وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. The parable of those who take guardians instead of Allah, role models instead of Allah, ropes instead of Allah, is that of the spider that takes a home. And indeed, the frailest of homes is the home of the spider. Had they known. What is success in this world? What is your role model when you want to excel? If I want to excel financially and be successful in my career, who are the role models for our children in today's world? Does my child or your child say, I want to be the next Imam Ali. I want to be the next Imam Hussein. I want to be the next Abbas. I want to be the next Qasim. I want to be the next Ali Akbar. I don't say these things, right? I want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be the next Bill Gates. I want to be the next Steve Jobs. I want to be the next Barack Obama. Right? Because these are the people who are painted for them as being successful people. If you hold on to their ropes, then you'll achieve successes in your life. But Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and these guys are not going to stand for what the Imam stood for when the time comes through. No, they're too busy. They're too busy chasing things that are artificial and fake. والاعتصام بحبله واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. All of you collectively hold firm to the rope of Allah and don't disperse. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا. Everyone together, myself, my family, all of us should be on the same page, holding on to the same rope. Not the father doing one thing, the mother doing one thing, the daughter doing one thing, the son doing something else. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا. To hold firm to the rope of Allah together means for us to pray, jama'ah in the house together. It's for us to recite Quran together. It's for us to manage our finances, to pay our homes together. It's for us to fast with the same intention together. It's for us to be conscious of social injustices in this world and having a reaction together, jami'an. Not the mother goes in one room and does it, and the son goes in one room, doesn't do, and the daughter is. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And then the community all together. Everyone together should have the same objective of serving the cause of the Imam. Not, I want to do this by giving my money here, and I want to do this by going volunteering today. These are all good. All of these are good. And they're all virtuous. But when you're divided, what happens? When everyone is doing their own thing, what happens? The results will be minimal. It'll be ineffective. And hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in groups you can achieve success. Yadullah ma'al jama'ah. That the support of Allah is when people work together under leadership. Under leadership of who? The Ahlul Bayt. Under leadership of who? The Holy Imam. We are servants and are workers under the order of our leader. All of us together. Not everyone becomes a leader for themselves. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. You were enemies once. God through His mercy brought you together. فَأَصْبَحْتُم مِّن نِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. So the next two instructions that the Imam gives, وَعِمَارَةَ قَلْبِكَ بِذِكْرِكَ. Build yourself through God's remembrance. And in doing so, hold firm to the rope of Allah. Nothing is more stable than your connection with God, but with this condition of what? For you to actually hold firm onto it. However stronger our connection with the Imam is, our strong connection with the Ahlul Bayt is, the firmer our grip will be. However unconscious and unaware that we are of what our responsibilities are, of what our connection is, of what's happening in our world, of how we're preparing ourselves, this grip becomes, and we let go. And we fall into the ditches that someone like me has fell into, and I need help getting up again. And I come here so the Imam will bless me and give me another opportunity to be able to serve him. This concludes, alhamdulillah, this third section. Begins to his son, and then he continues to expand on these points, which we'll inshallah discuss from tomorrow night. Sallallahu. It's possible to just dim the lights. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-aliyyil azim. وعليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر السلام عن حسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا حجة الله وابن حجته. السلام عليك يا قتيل الله وابن قتيله. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره. السلام عليك يا وتر الله الموتور في السماوات والأرض. The lovers of Hussein and the companions of Hussein came in all ages. Some of the companions of Hussein were very old. Habib ibn Madahir, an older man coming in support of his holy Imam. Although he was an older man, he still wanted to sacrifice himself for his holy Imam. Many of the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein were also young children and young boys. One of these young men was the son of Imam al-Hassan, Qasim. On the night before Ashura, in the days coming to the day of Ashura, the Imam spoke to his companions and addressed them multiple times. As he addressed them, he assured them that they would have to engage in battle, that their lives will be at stake. Whoever wants to has permission to leave. No one is obligated to stay by the side of Imam al-Hussein. They say when Qasim heard these words from his uncle, he came to Hussein, fearing that he wasn't old enough to serve for his uncle and his master. He asked Imam al-Hussein, "Oh my uncle, will I be allowed to serve and fight for you?" Imam al-Hussein asked this young boy a question to see if he's ready and prepared to battle. Yes, Ya Qasim, in your eyes, how do you see death? Says, "Oh my uncle, I see death to be sweeter than honey." Days pass and the day of Ashura comes. One by one the companions of Hussein go into the battlefield and fight bravely and achieve martyrdom. Qasim also wants to go and sacrifice himself for Abu Abdullah. He comes to his mother and requests her permission to go into battle. His mother, of course, accepts, prepares Qasim for battle, puts on clothes for him to fight, and sends him to the presence of his uncle Abu Abdullah. He comes to Hussein, "Ya Mawlai, do I have your permission to go and sacrifice myself for you?" Hussein looks at this young boy. In narrations they say he was only 13 years old. Hussein looks at him. He says, "Ya Qasim, you're so young. You are the only child of your mother. Qasim, you are the son of my brother Imam al-Hassan. I have promised my brother al-Hassan to look after you. My darling Qasim, you are the image of my brother. Every time I want to be reminded of my brother Imam al-Hassan, I look to you and look to your face. No, Qasim, I cannot allow you to go and die. What will I do if I allow you to go and die? How will I answer your mother and answer my brother Imam al-Mujtaba?" Qasim was very sad and disappointed. He returned to his mother and said, "My uncle will not allow me to fight." His mother gave him a letter that Father Imam al-Mujtaba had written. Qasim opens this letter, finds a letter written to his uncle Imam al-Hussein. Qasim takes the letter to his holy uncle al-Hussein. He says, "Oh my uncle, oh my master, my father has written a letter for you." Hussein takes this letter and opens. He said, "My brother Hussein, a day will come when Islam will need to be saved by sacrifice. Ya Hussein, I know that on that day I will not be alive to support you, but my son Qasim will be there to serve you. It is my wish that my son Qasim should represent me on that day." Hussein sees this. He says, "Ya Qasim, my brother has ordered me. I cannot deny you the opportunity to sacrifice yourself for Islam." Qasim goes with the blessing of Hussein into the battlefield. They say as Qasim entered the battlefield, the enemies narrated and recorded, "We saw a young man that resembled Imam al-Mujtaba. On his head though there was no helmet, on his head was a turban, and on his feet were no boots but just normal shoes." Qasim comes to the battlefield. He recites these war cries, "In tankuruni fanabnu al-Hasani, sibtu al-Nabi al-Mustafa wal-Mu'tamani." If you don't know who I am, know that I am the son of Imam al-Hassan. If you don't know who I am, know that I am the grandson of the Holy Prophet Amir al-Mu'mineen.
هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لاصقوا صوم المزد. This is the Hussein that has been treated like a prisoner here. Qasim goes and fights bravely, killing many soldiers of the enemy army. They say Umar ibn Sa'd sees him. They say, who is this young boy? They say, this is Qasim, the son of Hassan. He has been taught to fight by his uncle Abbas. He instructs and he asks all the soldiers to surround Al-Qasim. Up until that point, Qasim was fighting one by one and killing these enemies. But then they say the enemies surrounded Qasim. Hundreds of people surrounded Qasim. They struck Qasim and Qasim falls down from the horse. Qasim then calls out, Ya Amma! Oh my uncle, come to my aid! Oh my uncle, my last salams to you! They say Hussein alayhi salam quickly comes to the battlefield, quickly comes to the aid of Qasim. These enemies see Hussein coming. They think Hussein is coming to fight them. They all become very scared. All of them try to leave in a hurry. But in them trying to leave, all of the horses are running in circles. And the body of Qasim is laying on the floor. The body of Qasim is trampled by these horses. They say, when all of the dirt and sand settled, they say that Hussein was sitting on the ground with the body of Qasim in his lap. Hussein looks to the treasure of his brother Imam al-Hassan. He tells the body of Qasim that has been ripped into pieces, عزم الله على عمك أن تدعوه فلا يجيبك. By Allah, it is difficult for your uncle, for you to call to him and he cannot answer you. يجيبك فلا يعينك. Oh, that he answers your call but he cannot help you. يعينك فلا يغني عنك. بعدا لقوم قتلون. Ya Qasim, there's nothing I can do for it in this day. Hussein collects the body of Qasim. Hussein collects the body of Qasim. With Hizabah, he returns the pieces of Qasim's body to the tent. They say he laid the body of Qasim next to the body of his son Ali al-Akbar. What will Hussein do now? One by one his beloveds are dying and they're being martyred. But later that day came a time where when a man was calling for help, there was no one to answer him. When Hussein called for help, Al-Min Nasir Yasurani, is there no one to help the Imam of the time? Is there no one to help the grandson of the Holy Prophet? Is there no one to help the son of Ali? لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم إلهي بحق الحسين وأصحابه. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. ربنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كافي المهمات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر وجعلنا من خير أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night, by the body, by the pieces of the body of Qasim alayhi salam, that you hasten the reappearance of our holy Imam. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night to give good health and a long life to all of our maraji', all of our scholars, all of those who serve this religion. Ya Allah, we ask you to remove oppressions and hardships from all of those who are being oppressed in this world, all of those who injustices are being committed upon them, especially our Muslim brothers and sisters, and especially our Shia brothers and sisters. Ya Allah, we ask you to give good health and a speedy recovery to all of those who are ill, especially our loved ones. Ya Allah, we ask you by the blessing of this night to make us, to make our families, to make our children of the true lovers and followers and supporters of the holy Imam of our time, in Aba Abdullah Hussein. Ya Allah, we ask you to make these majalis, to make our community a community in majalis that you are pleased with and the holy Imam is pleased with.
برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
يا حسين
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 يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا
يا حسين
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 يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين
يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا قاسم ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए अरमान बढ़ा लूं मैं तुझे दूल्हा बना लूं मैं अब देर न कर आजा आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए लाल मेरे तुझको सीने से लगाऊं मैं लाल मेरे तुझको सीने से लगाऊं मैं एक रात की मोहलत है नजदीक कयामत है अब देर न कर आजा आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए ये जान मेरे तुझको मैं देख लूं जी भर के ये जान मेरे तुझको देख लूं जी भर के तारीख जमाना है तुझे दूर भी जाना है अब देर न कर थोड़े जो सजाऊंगी जन्नत अब देर न कर आजा आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा कल जाने क्या हो जाए आवाज़ अज़ा गूंजी तो कांप गई परवाह आवाज़ अज़ा गूंजी तो कांप गई परवाह शब गुजरी शहर आई माँ ये कह के थराई अब देरी न कर आजा आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो जाए। आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो जाए। एक प्यारे की शादी है और प्यासे है बाराती, एक प्यारे की शादी है और प्यासे है बाराती। हसरत ज़दा मंजर है और जाने कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो जाए। आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो। अब शाम सितम आई और जिनने लगी चादर, अब शाम सितम आई और जिनने लगी चादर। रोते हुए घबरा कर हसरत से कहा माने, अब देरी न कर आजा। आजा कासिम आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो जाए। आजा कासिम ये आखिरी रात है बेटा, कल जाने क्या हो जाए। Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
تبریز آهم یک تکیه‌گاهم، تبریز آهم یک تکیه‌گاهم. با غم زمین گیرم مکن، عصای من گیرم مکن. آرام جانم، آرام جانم تکیه‌گاهم، لبریز آهم تکیه‌گاهم. با غم زمین گیرم مکن، عصای من گیرم مکن. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. با غم زمین گیرم مکن، عصای من گیرم مکن. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. آه از دل من در خنده دشمن، آه از دل من در خنده دشمن. آینه بشکسته‌ام، زخم سرت را بسته‌ام. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. آینه بشکسته‌ام، زخم سرت را بسته‌ام. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. آه از دل من در خنده دشمن، آه از دل من در خنده دشمن. آینه بشکستم، زخم سرت را بستم. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. جانان بابا ای ماه لیلا، جانان بابا ای ماه لیلا. پیشانیت بوسیدنیست، جان کندن بندیدنیست. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. جانان بابا ای ماه لیلا، جانان بابا ای ماه لیلا. پیشانیت بوسیدنیست، جان کندن بندیدنیست. آرام جانم، آرام جانم. بر مشامم میرسد هر لحظه بوی کربلا. بر مشامم میرسد هر لحظه بوی کربلا. بر دلم ترسم ماند آرزوی کربلا. حسین من، حسین من، حسین من، حسین من. تشنه آب فراتم ای اجل تشنه آب فراتم ای اجل مهلت بده تا بگیرم در بغل قبر شهید کربلا حسین من حسین من حسین من حسین من تشنه آب فراتم ای اجل مهلت بده تشنه آب فراتم ای اجل مهلت بده تا بگیرم در بغل قبر شهید کربلا حسین من حسین من حسین من حسین من حسین من یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
पूरी कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन उठो बात दिलावर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन क्यों नहीं बोलते क्या रूठ गए हो भैया क्यों नहीं बोलते क्या रूठ गए हो भैया तुम मेरे साथ चलो मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन जा रहे आनो मोहम्मद नकासिमो अकबर ना रहे आनो मोहम्मद नकासिमो अकबर दाग सबके लिए दिल पर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बालों से छुपाए हूँ छिन गई चादर तेरा बालों से छुपाए हूँ छिन गई चादर दश्त गुर्बत यूं लुट कर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन भोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बेखता बाल गए बाजू हमारे भैया बेखता बाल गए बाजू हमारे भैया नील बोले मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन हाय रो रो के सकीना ने तो दम तोड़ दिया हाय रो रो के सकीना ने तो दम तोड़ दिया उसको जिंदा में सुला मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन रहे और मोहम्मद कासिम अकबर रहे और मोहम्मद कासिम अकबर दाग सबके लिए दिल पर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन बोली कुलसूम ये रोकर मैं जा रही हूँ वतन जाओ से 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 जाओ से
يا مجهز حسين قل للقابر وين يا مجهز حسين قل للقابر وين عن جثته كان قلت النابل عن جثته كان قلت النابل هلت دموعه وقلها يا عم شفت بلا والطوف اليمن مردود وعريان والغسل دمع غسلة ترى صار من دمع العين يا مجهز حسين كل القبر وين يا مجهز حسين كل القبر وين عن جثته كان شلت النابلتين عن جثته كان شلت النابلتين مرة لقيتها بذيك البارة لا قدرت ادفنها يا عماعة مرة لقيتها بذيك البارة لا قدرت ادفنها يا عماعة جسمه جمعتها قطعة بواقي صاحت اجل طول ما تكفاني حسين مجهز حسين كل القبر وين مجهز حسين كل القبر وين عن جثته كان شلت النابل زين لكن يا سجاد عمك وصلت يم الشريعة واسمه رفعته، لكن يا سجاد عمك وصلت يم الشريعة واسمه رفعته، قالها يا عما ايدي دفنته، لكن بلا راس عزك وليين يا مجهز حسين
القبر وين
يا مجهز حسين كل القبر وين، كان جثته كان قلت الزنابل زين، وجاسم يا عما ما قدرت اشوفه، وجاسم يا عما ما قدرت اشوفه، والله في جعلي معاين جفوفه، ابني طول وما شعرت زلوفه، وكلهم بلاروس أسلاتين شيرين يا مجهز حسين القبر وين، يا مجهز حسين كل القبر وين، عن جثته كان قلت لنا بالليل، صاحت يا سجاد اللي بالاكبر، صاحت يا سجاد اللي بالاكبر، قلت يا عمان واهج البر،
الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء ويا معين الضعفاء والفقراء السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع يوم الجزاء. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، يا قاطع البرهان، يا إمام الإنس والجان، ويا خليفة الرحمن، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل
واهج البر، والهادف انت
وجعل من أنصارك وأعوانك. والسلام عليك وعلى آبائك الطيبين الطاهرين، وعلى أمك فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.